I still remember the look on my daughter. Lily's face the moment her birthday party fell apart. She was turning 7, and for weeks, she'd been talking about the princess cake she wanted. Nothing fancy, just pink frosting, a few edible flowers, and her name written across the top. As a single mom, I worked extra shifts to make that day special for her. My family insisted on hosting the party at my parents' house. "Don't worry," my mother told me. "We'll make it memorable." I believed her. The morning of the party, I arrived carrying Lily's custom cake. She hugged the box like it was treasure. But the second we walked inside, I noticed something was off. My sister Ashley was there with her fiancé, and somehow the entire conversation revolved around their upcoming wedding. Every guest who arrived was immediately pulled into wedding discussions. Venue, dress, flowers, guest list. Nobody even asked Lily how she was feeling. Then came the moment that still makes my blood boil. Ashley looked at Lily's cake and rolled her eyes. "Why is this thing taking up so much room in the fridge?" she said. Before I could answer, her fiancé lifted the cake box carelessly. The box slipped from his hands and crashed onto the kitchen floor. The cake was destroyed. Pink frosting smeared across the tiles. The flowers were crushed. Lily's name was barely visible. My daughter froze. I expected apologies. Instead, my family laughed. "Kids don't care about cakes that much," Ashley said with a shrug. That was the moment Lily burst into tears. And while I was holding my sobbing 7-year-old in my arms, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. My family had never planned a birthday party. They had planned a wedding meeting, and Lily's special day was only the excuse to get me there. I wanted to leave immediately. The second Lily started crying, I grabbed my purse and reached for her hand. But before I could walk out, my mother stopped me. "Oh, don't be dramatic," she said. "We can buy another cake." Another cake? As if that would erase the hurt on my daughter's face. Lily wasn't crying because of the cake anymore. She was crying because everyone had laughed when it happened. I took her outside to the backyard and sat beside her on the swing. "Mommy, did I do something wrong?" she asked through tears. That question shattered me. "No, sweetheart," I whispered. "You did absolutely nothing wrong." But deep down, I knew exactly who had. After calming Lily down, I went back inside to grab our things. That's when I overheard a conversation that changed everything. Ashley was standing in the dining room with my parents. "She'll help eventually," Ashley said confidently. "Of course she will," my father replied. "She always does." I stopped in the hallway. "Help with what?" Then Ashley laughed. "I already told everyone that my sister is helping pay for the wedding. It sounds better when people think we're all contributing." My heart nearly stopped. Nobody had asked me for a single dollar. Nobody had even mentioned money. Yet Ashley had already been telling people I was helping fund her wedding. And then it got worse. "She has good connections too," Ashley continued. Using her name opened a lot of doors with vendors. I felt sick. While my daughter was sitting outside crying over her ruined birthday, they were discussing how useful I could be for Ashley's wedding, not as family, not as a sister, not as a mother, as a resource. I walked into the room so suddenly that all three of them jumped. "What exactly are you using my name for?" I asked. The silence was immediate. Ashley's smile disappeared. My parents looked away. For the first time that day, nobody seemed eager to talk. And judging by the panic on their faces, I realized they had been hiding something much bigger than a wedding bill, something they never expected me to find out. The tension in the room was so thick I could barely breathe. I looked directly at Ashley. "Answer me," I said. "What have you been telling people?" She crossed her arms and forced a smile. "It's not a big deal." That was always Ashley's favorite phrase whenever she got caught doing something wrong. I pulled out my phone. "Then you won't mind if I start making some calls?" My father immediately stood up. "Emily, stop acting childish." Childish? My 7-year-old daughter had just spent her birthday crying because of them, and somehow I was the problem. That was it. I was done being the family peacemaker. Over the next 2 days, I started contacting people involved in Ashley's wedding. What I discovered made my jaw drop. Ashley hadn't just mentioned my name. She had been using it everywhere. Several vendors believed I was paying for major portions of the wedding. One venue manager even congratulated me for being such a generous sister. I nearly laughed from shock. Generous? I hadn't agreed to pay for a single thing. Then came the biggest surprise. A wedding planner forwarded me a copy of an email Ashley had sent weeks earlier. In that email, Ashley claimed I had personally guaranteed certain wedding expenses. My name was written all over the agreement. I stared at the screen in disbelief. She had built parts of her wedding plan around money that wasn't hers. Money, she assumed, she could pressure me into providing. Suddenly, everything made sense. The fake birthday party, the constant wedding conversations, the confidence in Ashley's voice. They never intended to ask. They intended to corner me. If I refused publicly, I would look like the selfish sister who ruined a wedding. But they had made one mistake. They underestimated how far I was willing to go to protect my daughter and myself. So, instead of confronting Ashley immediately, I stayed quiet. I collected emails, screenshots, messages, contracts, everything. The more evidence I gathered, the uglier the truth became. By the end of the week, I had enough proof to expose every lie she had told. Then, an invitation arrived for Ashley's final wedding planning dinner. My parents expected me to attend. Ashley expected me to smile, and everyone expected me to officially announce my support for the wedding. I looked at the invitation and smiled for the first time in days, because they had unknowingly handed me the perfect stage. And before that dinner was over, every single person in that room was going to learn exactly who Ashley really was. The night of Ashley's wedding planning dinner finally arrived. When I walked into the restaurant, everyone was smiling. My parents looked relieved. Ashley looked confident, and neither of them had any idea what was coming. Halfway through dinner, Ashley stood up and tapped her glass. "I just want to thank everyone who has helped make this wedding possible," she said. Then she turned toward me, and especially my sister Emily, whose support has meant so much. The room erupted in applause. That was my cue. I slowly stood up. "Actually," I said, "there's something everyone deserves to know." The room went silent. I connected my phone to the restaurant's presentation screen that Ashley had rented for wedding photos. Instead of photos, emails appeared. Then screenshots. Then contracts. One by one, every lie Ashley had told was displayed for everyone to see. The room became painfully quiet. People stared at the screen in disbelief. I showed the emails where Ashley promised my money without permission. I showed messages where she claimed I had approved expenses. I even showed proof that she had used my name to secure wedding services. Ashley's face turned white. "Turn that off," she shouted. "No," I replied calmly. "Not after what you did to my daughter." Then I told everyone about Lily's birthday. The ruined cake, the laughter, the tears, everything. Several guests looked disgusted. Some stood up and left immediately. Others began questioning Ashley and my parents. Within minutes, the perfect image Ashley had built completely collapsed. The wedding planner canceled her involvement. Multiple vendors demanded immediate payment guarantees. And for the first time in her life, Ashley had to face the consequences of her own actions. A week later, she called me repeatedly. I never answered. My focus was where it belonged. On Lily. The following weekend, I threw her a new birthday party. A beautiful one, just for her. When she smiled at her new cake and wrapped her arms around me, I realized something important. Justice isn't always about revenge. Sometimes it's about choosing the people who truly deserve your love. And that day, my daughter got the celebration she should have had all along. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments. What country are you watching from? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional revenge stories. See you in the next video.